While this isn't anti-LDS, there is some LDS. There is some LDS values, some LDS ways of living in this stuff.
With no apologies.
In these
no
two.
Apologies.
Okay, and this is to some extent an LDS measure. Now, if you're
now that's not fair. That's not fair. I wouldn't go that
would
far.
Not say that
it's
at
not it's not to any extent an LDS measure.
To a small degree, you'd have to say that yes, people in our community who are of this predominant faith recognize the dangers of alcohol. What we're saying is that the vast majority of the community, and we've proven that by going door to door and getting signatures on petitions, want to maintain a no alcohol stance, and it's reasonable.
Because we don't drink in the majority, why should we accept the social ills and costs associated with alcohol availability?
Well, now you'll still have alcohol availability.
Yes.
They have to drive, what, 2 miles? I don't know, how far do you have to drive now to buy a can of beer?
4 or 5 miles.
Couple miles.
Yeah, they've said 5 miles.
About 5 miles.
Research shows, though, that increased availability increases consumption and increases the crime and problems associated with it.
I believe that to a
Proximity does
little
make a
extent,
difference.
but
not only that, but because the surrounding areas don't have alcohol sales also, we would be having people from surrounding areas, not just Cedar Hills residents, and also recreational up and down to the canyon.
Guys from Alpine and Highland would drive to Cedar Hills to buy their beer. You fear that? Where Alpine and Highland don't allow beer sales, they'd say, let's go over to wicked Cedar Hills. Whoopee!
Well, actually, let me point out something else with regards to Alpine and Highland. The reality is that we are in a tri-city public safety district with Highland and Alpine. If we change our stance to something else, what will happen is we'll be compromising the public safety district standards.
Let me respond to that. Our Tri-City public safety is for fire and ambulance. Now, I don't think that there's a lot of crime associated with fire services. I hope you're not implying that.
We do have relations. We do have relationship with our public safety, though. You have to agree.
Until people start buying their beer and downing it in the parking lot, then this is not an issue. They don't sell beer big gulps. That's not what we're talking about here.
We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back after this. Our number 973-3144. If you have a question or comment about alcohol sales and Sunday closing at Cedar Hills. We're back. We're debating the sale of alcohol and Sunday closing in Cedar Hills, maybe Utah's fastest growing or one of the fastest growing communities. We have two people for banning business on Sunday and alcohol sales, and two people against it. Nick, you're on the air. Your question, please.
Yes, sir. I just had a couple comments about this issue. The first one was to address the LDS the LDS standards and having the church have a role in this. I think that the values of the LDS church do have an impact in Cedar Hills, and I think that's partly what they're basing this off of. But at the same time, in the LDS church, I'm Mormon myself. So in the LDS church, I know that we teach that God gives everybody free agency, and that's the freedom of choice. So even though we don't believe in people being able to drink and stuff, we also believe that everyone should have the choice. And I think that...
I'm going to let them comment on that. Thank you. Is this, would you talk about this from the standpoint of freedom?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know, freedom is an issue here, and freedoms are relevant, and there are times when government needs to step into the lives of private citizens to protect health, safety, welfare. Unfortunately, these ordinances do not, these initiatives do not protect that. They provide no substantial public safety benefit. They only infringe on the lives of private citizens without providing that benefit.
Are you trying to take away people's freedom? Somebody wants to be open on Sunday, somebody wants to shop on Sunday. Why is that any of your business or of government's business?
You know, the role of government is to protect the citizens. As citizens live together and interact, there are ordinances that need to be passed in order to protect the rights of all.
No dancing? Some people think dancing's wrong. Should there be a no dancing ordinance? How about a no kissing ordinance?
Well, how about no gambling? How about no prostitution?
Okay,
for example, Rod,
these are things.
Great examples of where there's a public safety or welfare benefit.
If somebody wants to be a prostitute, for example, where would they go? They'd go to Nevada. If they wanted to open up a gaming place, they would go to Nevada. If you were if you're homosexual, you'd want to go. No, what I'm saying is likes attract. If you want to be homosexual and hang around with homosexuals, you go to San Francisco.
Should it be supported with laws? Should it be supported with laws? It seems to me
No, here's the question.
Okay.
Is it not right for communities to have standards? Is it not fair?
Okay, any community can have any standards? Excuse me, please.
Sorry. I've been 3 times present when comments like what you've just made have been addressed. If you don't want to live by this type of person, don't live here. If you don't want to live by this, how does that, could you finish that? How does that pertain to us in the state of Utah?
Well,
because I want to clear up any misconception that you may be leading to.
I'm not sure what you mean, but I would tell you this.
Well,
the community of Cedar Hills is very unique. It's a very family-oriented community. In fact, the average age is approximately 17.
I would still like to have anything cleared up with that.
Okay,
you say if you don't want to live by a certain type of person, don't
what you're
move
saying,
there.
what you're saying is if you don't want to be a Mormon, don't move to Cedar Hills. Is that what you're?
And that's what I would like you to clear up, because that's definitely
Let me ask you a
what.
question.
No, I'm not going to let anybody do anything. I'm going to take a commercial break. We'll be back after this.
It's time to take two with Ron Decker.
We're back. We are debating Cedar Hills, whether Cedar Hills should sell alcohol and let businesses be open on Sunday. There will be two propositions on the ballot in that fast-growing town on June 28th, and citizens will decide one way or the other. We have on the line Mr. Darren Louder, who's a councilman in Cedar Hills. Darren, would you give you're on the air, your question, please?
Thank you. I'd like to just clarify a few things quickly, if I may. Mr. Cromar talked about the few of us newly elected representatives making promises. I have given him a statement before we were elected which promises the exact opposite. I signed something that said, upon my getting better information or looking at things differently, I have the right to change my mind. So that's the first thing.
Okay, now excuse me, did you say that you would vote against alcohol, but you might change your mind, or did you just, or what exactly did you say?
Not at all. I don't even remember us talking about alcohol. I do remember
how about Sunday closing?
I remember us talking about the Sunday issue, and my knee-jerk reaction was, hey, sure, why not? That's most of our society anyway. But upon more discussion, more talk about needs for our commercial revenue and development, I completely changed my mind.
Okay,
Anyway,
and then you had a second point.
yes. As far as what people expected when moving here, we moved here 3.5 years ago, and our population explosions really happened in the last 5-7 years. Everyone has known and anticipated the commercial development here. Many of us expected and wanted that. And that's really the bottom line here, is that we do not want to discourage in any way businesses from coming here. One, because we don't think these issues are going to negatively impact us.
Okay,
But two, we
go
definitely
ahead.
need revenue, and we want convenience.
Okay, now you hang
definitely-
on. You hang on for just a minute here, and I'm going to. Would you address?
I'm
this?
glad
Okay.
Darren
Okay,
called
quickly.
in. This campaign flyer is our mayor, Mike McGee. It says here, the citizens of Cedar Hills voted for an alcohol-free golf course and is closed and to be closed on Sunday. Currently, it is open on Sunday, and there is not an ordinance restricting alcohol sales.
Okay, so now that isn't Mr. Louder.
No, I'm getting there.
Okay, quickly.
Jim Perry. This
Okay,
is his,
now just let's
Jim,
talk about
he's another
Mr. Louder.
councilman.
Okay, let's just talk about Mr. Louder.
Then Mr. Louder, and I'm trying to find it.
Okay, just say what he said.
His campaign flyer says that he would maintain the 6-day work week as per the master plan. And I say the citizens of Cedar Hills feel betrayed.
He didn't say anything about alcohol, you agree?
No,
okay.
it wasn't an issue at the time.
Okay.
It came up with Smith.
Okay,
but the point is the Sunday, these council members and mayor promised, and the citizens feel betrayed, and we'll fix it on the 28th.
Did he say he might change his mind? He said he might change his mind.
He committed specifically to this issue,
Okay,
and that's a problem.
Okay, okay, Mr. Louder, would you respond to that quickly?
He chooses not to read what I wrote to him at the bottom of the paper, which says, I will change my mind upon better information and more information.
Okay, fair enough. Now, would you talk about revenue? He made the point about revenue. What's the revenue issue here?
Revenue is very important to a small town like Cedar Hills. Currently, we collect approximately $364,000 a year in property taxes. The proposed commercial development would bring about $400,000 in revenue. So that's more than our entire property tax increase right now. Scaring away businesses means that the residents will not have that revenue. It subjects them to double taxation by having to pay their sales taxes in another city and then pay again for services in our city.
This is really frustrating.
What makes you think, what would you point to say you'll lose revenue if you pass this thing?
It's scary enough businesses, I think that was
Such
apparent.
as?
We've heard from the developer firsthand. Businesses are waiting in the wings to see what happens with this vote, because if it goes the wrong way,
they say they got nice Mormon businesses that'll move in.
Rod,
That's
But
a
they're
nice
not a
thought.
real anchor anchor. They're welcome to come, but we want a real anchor that's going to bring
They've
in
made
a solid
promises
tax
of an
base.
associated food coming in, yet to materialize.
very
There's only a limited
disingenuous.
number of businesses,
Incredibly
and they're not
disingenuous.
coming to Cedar Hills.
After the meeting that you put on Wednesday night, I went and talked with Mark, the developer Rimrock, and asked him if he had not been contacted by these parties, and he was very reluctant to admit it. But we received a phone call saying that that very night he'd called and asked set up a meeting.
What's the developer saying? Is he in
Right.
favor of this or against
No,
it?
he's
very much against
He's
the
against it
He's against it.
because
Because it
They
will
trample
handcuff
on
him.
his ability
he
to
wants
be able
to
to develop
have
his own.
a larger number of people to
Okay,
come.
so-
Disrespect. He's about money.
Yeah,
He's not about the citizens of
Revenue's
Cedar
about
Hills.
money,
That's
too.
fine, but we can have
His
both.
personal-
Taxes are about
can have
money.
both.
He is personally going to
Okay,
benefit.
and they're about taxes, right?
But I would like to
When you
also
can have
add,
both.
he's
That's the
referring,
point.
I know the company he is referring to, which somebody overstepped their bounds of a landowner and a paid developer and went on their own and had a store contact them. I would love
bottom
to
line is
know
this,
So
who
far, what
did
we
that.
have is
Excuse
a
me.
letter from someone
Okay,
other
okay,
than the
Mr.
developer.
Kroger has
Bottom
the
line
floor.
is
Good.
this. There are two stores, Associated Foods / Kohler's being the, and then Harvest Fresh, who are ready to build a grocery store today. There's no complaint
Okay,
about
I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a news story, an old news story. This old news story shows that this issue has been around a long time in Utah. This is about prohibition. We've had similar fights in Riverton and Draper, Boulder, Utah, South Jordan, and we're having it in Cedar Hills now. We'll have it other places in the future. This was when it was nationwide. We'll look at this now. Salt Lake City swarmed with revelers the last night of July in 1917. The summer evening was a galaxy of wine, women, and song, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. The party celebrated the death of Old Man Booze, the paper said. It was to be Utah's last drunk ever. August 1st, Prohibition began. The thought of all that sobriety seemed to make the Deseret News a little giddy. Prohibition will be the greatest blessing we have known since Christ, the church-owned paper proclaimed. But despite all the dry enthusiasm, booze seemed to leak back into Utah. A duck hunter stumbled across an illegal still here on the western outskirts of Salt Lake City. Agents raided an illegal whiskey factory at this address on Capitol Hill. This Mount Olympus Springs water is still good enough to bottle and sell. During Prohibition, Mount Olympus Springs was notorious for moonshiners who moved up there to get the good water for their illegal whiskey. During fiscal year 1932, federal prohibition agents raided 448 illegal stills in Utah, and they seized 378,000 gallons of booze, beer, wine, and mash. But a number of federal prohibition agents had to be fired from their jobs for drunkenness. Prohibition is a farce, said Attorney General Harvey Clough. The situation is deplorable, agreed Governor George Dern. In 1933, after 16 years of bootleg liquor, Utahns voted Prohibition out. Old Man Booze was resurrected. I'm Rod Decker, and that's the way it happened in Utah. Now, I want to ask you this. Is it your position that voting Sunday closing and voting out alcohol sales will have no effect at all on the economic future and the tax revenue future of Cedar Hills?
I would say there will be an incremental difference, but substantially there will be
a small difference.
very small difference.
A small difference. And you have two stores that you say will move in. Now, Smith's, I guess, won't move in.
That's right.
Okay,
They took a poll.
and
They took
neither-
a poll and found out.
Okay, and neither will a lot of the big grocery
names.
stores.
Well, you might be interested to know that Walmart tried to come into Cedar Hills
Okay,
a couple of years
Walmart,
ago.
you might get
and
a Walmart.
No. The citizens of the community said we do not want
Okay,
Walmart.
no
in.
Walmart. Okay,
Yeah.
but you think it'll have a small difference. How big is it? Okay, they agree it'll have a small difference. Do you think it'll have just a small difference?
Well, Cedar Hills is a small city, so of course it'll have a small difference, but in relative terms, it's a very large difference.
Okay, say you pay a couple of bucks extra a year in your property tax. That would say that's small, not worth worrying about. Say you pay 50 or 100 extra. Now, well, somebody might want to think
talking about
about
a
that.
couple
and
hundred
it's
here.
not
Couple of
only-
hundred, you think?
And if I'm paying extra, I'd like it to be to help with things like youth programs, facilities. We'll be paying extra for nothing in return. And that's kind of my argument, that we need to get a commercial base here so that our city can become what it was
Okay,
set up to be.
I've got
Maybe share some
we're
real
talking money and
financial
another
numbers.
good time for a commercial break. Got to take a commercial break. We'll be back after this. Our number is 973-3144 if you have a question or comment. We're back with two men who want Cedar Hills to ban alcohol sales and ban any business or almost any business from being open on Sunday. And with two citizens of Cedar Hills who think that's a terrible idea. Josh, you're on the air. Your question, please.
Yeah, I just wonder if the market won't dictate what will and won't be sold. It seems like if 80% of the customer base doesn't want something, it won't be profitable for the seller to stock it or to be open on Sundays. There's some restaurants that aren't open on Monday because it's the slowest day of the week. Won't that apply here?
Should this be left to the market?
The market will dictate it. As they mentioned, the majority of residents of Cedar Hills don't consume alcohol, don't open on Sundays. A businessman is not going to open his store or sell something in his store that's not going to be profitable.
If you left it to the market, Smiths would be there moving in now and putting up a big beer stand in the back of their store, right?
Boy, it costs a lot of money to dust off the beer cans if they're not selling it. They would lower that shelf space. They wouldn't sell it if it wasn't selling.
And to pay employees if nobody is there on Sunday.
Okay, so you think if Smiths would have moved in, my guess is Smiths is smart. If they'd have moved in, they'd have sold some beer and they'd have sold some food on Sunday. Wouldn't you guess that?
You know, talking with representatives of Smiths, I'm confident that they would have adhered to those restrictions, but we'll never know because they ran out of town before that happened. Kenneth mentioned a poll, but that was conducted, but the results of the poll have never been made public, and so it's.
Do you think if they'd have found that the citizens of Cedar Hills wanted to be open on Sunday and have alcohol, that they would have gone away?
Have you seen the poll?
They won't show it.
And it all depends
Okay, so we don't know what the poll shows.
We don't know what it says, but you would presume